In this video, we're gonna look at how we can create this animated gradient border in CSS. So let's get into it. So I've already got the basic structure set up. So I have a card here with the title, paragraph, and a link that looks like a button. So here is the markup for it. So I have a link to the style sheet to load in the styles, and then it is with the class of card that has a title, some text, and a link that looks like a button. And in the CSS, I'm selecting all of the elements, and I'm setting the margins and paddings to 0, and also I have the box sizing set to border box. And then here these are some styles to center this card into the middle, and then these styles to make the link look like a button. And here we have some basic styles for the card, like the border and the padding and so on. So let's move on to creating the effect. So for creating the effect, I'm gonna be using CSS pseudo elements. So the two pseudo elements that we're gonna be using are the before and after pseudo elements. You can read more about both on MDN. So I'm gonna start off by writing a group selector for both the before and after. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is set a content property, and I'm gonna set that to an empty string. So the content property is required in order for the pseudo elements to show up in the DOM. So if we head over to the browser and inspect, so inside of the card we can now see there is like before and after added into the DOM. So yeah, like pseudo elements are like children injected into the element via CSS. Generally we add content or DOM nodes via HTML or JavaScript. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is for the card after. So for the after pseudo element, I'm gonna set the background to let's go with red for now. And then what I'm gonna do is set the position to absolute for both of these. So the plan is to have the pseudo elements placed on top of each other, and like one of them will have a conic gradient as the background that we're gonna animate. We are using a keyframe, and then the other one is gonna sit on top of these, and we will have like negative z indexes so that they are behind the contents. So this is our plan. So position absolute, then I'm gonna give the after an inset of 0. So if you don't know about inset, it's essentially doing top 0, bottom 0, left and right 0. So it's just a shorthand for setting the position for all the directions in just one line. So background red. Now I'm gonna set so now we have the after covering our entire viewport, and that is because it is currently positioned relative to the viewport. So in order for it to be positioned relative to the card, we have to add position relative to the card. So now we have that. The next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set a border radius of so I'm gonna set this to inherit, so it takes up whatever border radius the card has. So it looks good. Now I'm gonna set the z index to be -1. So that moved it behind like the contents, like the h1 and the paragraph and the button. So let's change the background. So I'm gonna get rid of this background red, and we're gonna use the conic gradient instead. So I already have it written down, so I'm just gonna take that and paste it over here. So I'll say background color, and I'm gonna paste this conic gradient here. So conic gradient is like a gradient where we can specify different colors based on the degrees. So we have like 360 degrees in total, so we can specify different colors for different ranges of degrees. You can read more about it here on MDN. So yeah, here we have got that. So the index is set to -1. So yeah, now it shows up. So it doesn't have, so background color would would accept color values in hex or RGBA or HSLA. Like it doesn't accept gradients. So we can do background image here. Background color here won't work. So this is how it looks. Now let's animate it. So for animating this, I'm gonna create a keyframe, and I'm gonna call that rotate. So here I'll say on 100%, set the transform to rotate minus 360 degrees. So by default it doesn't have a rotate value, so it is by default rotated by 0 degrees. And here I'm saying when the animation finishes, rotate it minus 360 degrees, but by minus 360 degrees. So if I add animation and then rotate, so to add the keyframe animations, we use the animation property. So here the name of the animation, and then I'm gonna set the duration here. So let's go with 6 seconds, and I want it to play out infinitely. And let's set the animation timing function to linear, so it goes at the same speed. Now if I head back to the browser, this is how it looks. So we have got the after element rotating. Now one thing that you notice is that when the rotate value is higher than 0 or lower than 360 degrees, so like the portions of the card are not covered by it. So to fix that, what I'm gonna do is set a transform. So I'll say transform, and then I'm gonna scale it by 300%. Now if I head back over to the browser, this is how it looks. Now we have a problem here, that is like this transform is overriding this, so it is it is animating from scale 3 to scale 0. So to fix that, I'm gonna say scale 3, so the scale will stay consistent, and we don't want it to show up outside of the border of the card. So to fix that, I'm gonna add overflow in here. So yeah, next up what we're gonna do is place the before pseudo element on top of the rotating gradient and behind the contents. So here I'll say card before, and here I'll say inset, and I'm gonna set this to 1 pixels, and I'm gonna set the background to let's go with the same background as the body. So I'll say black, and finally let's add z index. So I'm gonna set it to -1 here, and I'm gonna update the z index for the after to be -2, so that we have the text and the button, like the link at the top, and then the like this before, like after, and then finally at the lowest layer we have the after. So yeah, so we have got the desired effect. So we have the text at the top, and then the before, and then the animated gradient. So yeah, so one thing, like we can if we want to make this border thicker, we can do that here. So if I say 3 pixels, this will make the border white. And let's say if I want to change the border of the card, I can't do that here. Instead, I'll have to do it here. So if I say like 555, it will set this to gray. So I'm gonna set it back to black, and we don't need this border. So, and I'm gonna set the inset to 1 because we want 1 pixel border. So yeah, that's it for this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Make sure that you subscribe and give this video a good old thumbs up. And yeah, please let me know in the comment if you have any questions, and I'll link the starter files and the final finished version in the video description.